Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 301 of the MTGGoldfish podcast. I'm Seth, probably better known as SaffronOlive, and we have the full crew here this week, kicking things off with the owner of MTGGoldfish, Richard. How's it going today, Richard?
Hey Seth, it is going very well under this mountain of previews we've gotten over the past 24 hours and also week.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's going to be a big focus of our cast. But before we get to that, we got another co-host in Krim. How are you this fine Monday, Krim?
I'm doing just wonderful. I am so excited. Commander Legends, tons of spoilers have been coming in, and this is the set I've been most excited for all year.
Yeah, so, that's going to be the big topic of our podcast today. We have a week's worth of Commander Legends spoilers. I think we're a little more than halfway through, maybe like 3/4 at this point. So we got a huge chunk of the set to talk about today, which means we're going to dedicate basically the entire cast, minus maybe some fish mail answering at the end, to talking about our favorite sweet new Commander Legends cards. So that is the plan for today. But before we get into all the new cards, our show today is brought to you by Card Conduit. And if you've ever experienced the overwhelming hassle of trying to buy list Magic cards, all the typing and sorting and shipping, it's a lot of work. It's not a lot of fun. Well, Card Conduit, a new service from the folks over at Card Hoarder, is the easiest way to sell your cards. And if you're looking to avoid all the hassle and all the time that it takes, they will sort, grade, and sell your cards for you. And once your shipment is processed, you'll get the proceeds minus their fee. And right now, you can even get a 10% discount by going to cardconduit.com/goldfish. So thank you to Card Conduit for supporting the podcast today. And with our sponsorship stuff out of the way, let's talk new Magic cards. Richard, we got a big list. The hard part of today, honestly, was narrowing it down. We started with probably 3 hours worth of podcasting to talk about all the cards on our initial list. We narrowed it down a bit, but we still got a ton to talk about. So Richard, guide us through some sweet new Commander Legends cards.
All right, we're gonna cut straight to the Chase Mythic of the set, the most controversial card that people have been talking about. We're gonna get our takes on it. Jeweled Lotus.
Oh, not reshape the earth. Okay.
0 to cast. It's an artifact. It's a mythic rare. Tap it to sacrifice Jeweled Lotus. Add 3 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast your commander. So a Black Lotus, where the stipulation is you can only use it to cast your commander. Coming in at Mythic Rare, currently pre-selling at a nice price of $130.
Overrated. Good card, but overrated. Not going to be an auto include. I'm not going to play it in my 3-color commander deck. The design of it, that's another discussion. But if you're asking me, am I going to, is this an auto include like people are saying? I don't think I'm auto including it.
Yeah, I think 2 things for me are true about this card. One is I do feel like Krim to some extent is right and people are overrating it. I don't think it goes in every deck in the way that Sol Ring does. I do think it's mostly monocolor, 2-color, some 3-color decks, but I don't think it's something you just play in every single deck. On the other hand, I also think this is by far the worst design in all of Commander Legends. This is literally exactly the kind of cards that I hate in Commander. It's another swingy Sol Ring card where you're going to sit down and be excited to play this fun game of Commander, and then someone's going to be like, oh, oops, I played Kalos on turn 1 and the game's over. This is exactly what you don't want a game of Commander to be about. So even though it doesn't go in every deck, when this shows up, there's nothing good and fun that comes from this. It's just a broken card. I hate the card, but I do agree it doesn't show up in every deck.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would even say I'd find Sol Ring more annoying because that's an auto include, right? In every deck. But this card, it is disgusting. And it's gonna. I don't know about CDH. I'm not talking for anybody that's talking CDH stuff. That's not what I'm talking about because I just assume everything is really explosive in EDH. So but the thing here is, specifically in just a casual table, yeah, this is going to feel pretty bad when they get to Golos or Urza, but I don't know what what casual Urza table there is, right? But in monocolor decks, this will be an auto include, but I just don't find it. I guess you could reoccur it in an artifact commander, but other than that, I just don't think it's going to be in every one of my decks. So as I mentioned.
Okay, I think you guys are severely underrating this card. Okay, so I was like with Seth, like if you go to the podcast like a month or two ago, I'm like, Commander Legends gonna ruin Magic, or ruin Commander. Like Commander's gonna be 2019 forward, like every other format. It's gonna be terrible. But then Wizards started releasing cards, and we're like, wow, these cards are like balanced. They enable cool new things. This set is looking really good. And then they dropped the Jeweled Lotus, and we're like, there it is. There's the Wizards we were expecting. There's the cynicism and everything coming to fruition, right? This card is just broken, right? Like the argument for it not being broken is your deck sucks, right? Like if I'm playing Skeleton Tribal and like I power out like a 5-mana 1/1 regenerate, yeah, this is garbage, right? But if you are playing any legitimate deck where your commander does literally anything, this card is beyond broken, right? The only stipulation to that is you have a 4-color commander or like a 5-color commander, right? But anything like 3 colors down that can use this to cast, it's just beyond broken. I think Tomer released a video on this. You can check it on the Commander YouTube. But he basically said something along the lines of, if this card was printed 10 years ago, it might have been balanced, right? In the sense that, okay, you're going down a card to power out your commander, but cards these days are like outrageous, right? Your commander comes in 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s, is some like crazy value engine. Going down a card is like nothing, right? Like if you could play Dark Ritual in your deck, you would, and like all black decks do. But now you have a Dark Ritual that can only cast your commander, so it's like less than a Dark Ritual, but it's available in every color, right? Like fast mana has never been balanced. So giving you fast mana for your commander, which is like a card you want to play anyway, is really bad, right? And it's not as good as Sol Ring, right? Sol Ring is the best card, but you're comparing like the most broken card in Commander that should have been banned but has been grandfathered in somehow. Like it doesn't make it any better, right? It's like saying like, oh, this is not as bad as Brainstorm. It's just a 95% of a Brainstorm. It's like too much. It's just going to create the situation that Seth said. You play this, you become arch enemy. It's a 3v1. Either you win the game right there, or the other 3 players beat you, and you sit out and do nothing. Like that's not a fun time, right? Like, I don't want to do that, right? I want to play a 4-player game. So
you shouldn't have put the fast mana in your deck. No, just
that's just terrible design, right? Like this card wins the game or takes you out of the game. And like, why would you do this, right? Like, I don't know, right? It's just terrible design, and it will break competitive decks and just like fragment the player base even further. Like you sit down, they're like, turn 1 Golos. You're like, cool. Thank you. I mean, not to mention all the actual combos, right? Imagine if you had like a combo commander. We've been talking about playing this fairly, right? What if you could like recur this and like sack your commander or something, do like some weird loops with
like
this.
Like Brea, right? I don't know, like any artifact based commander. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just broken.
Once again, like I do think from design, like, yeah, this is not a great card, but I mean, I don't know. I guess I just don't really see why like everyone's up in arms with it. I mean, Golos is already doing broken things anyways, so
I think it's the price, right? So if this is like $100 card or an $80 card, that's an auto include in every deck. For you to be competitive, you would be agitated, right? Like if Sol Ring was an $80 card, people would be upset about Sol Ring, but because Sol Ring is so cheap, everyone's just like, whatever, it's okay. Right? Like I'll just put one in my deck because it's like a cheap card. But this is a chase mythic.
If we're taking out the price, like, I mean, right now, like I'm not even factoring in the price. We factor in the price, yes, that is miserable. I don't want to pay $150 for an auto include.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Wizards just can't resist, can they? Like, I was feeling like so positive about the set, and I still feel so positive about the set overwhelmingly, but it also feels like Wizards can't resist, like, printing that one broken mythic to sell the packs. It does, in some ways, it feels very reminiscent and familiar with, like, every set we've seen over the past few years, where it's like, wow, this has so many cool cards, it's got such cool flavor, but you just gotta have that... that one busted card, and they just can't resist it.
They don't need to do it. The rest of the set is amazing, right? Like it's not like the rest of the set is weak and they have to put this in to sell the packs. They would have sold the packs regardless. But they put this in, and it just creates this kind of ill will amongst Magic players now, right?
It's absolutely overshadowed everything in the set, and I
Exactly.
I have not understood. Like personally, I'm just like, okay, it exists, but I like this is the most talked about card.
I do think that the argument that some people use, like, oh, it's only slightly better than Dark Ritual, I think that shows a a pretty big misunderstanding of the Commander format, because Dark Ritual's busted, and this is a colorless Dark Ritual. So even if we assume that it's only slightly better than Dark Ritual, a colorless Dark Ritual is insane, and this is apparently slightly better, and people use that as like an argument for why it was not a problem. Which to me, like, slightly better than Dark Ritual but can go in any deck, that actually sounds very problematic.
Yeah, and then you also have two commanders, right? So, like, even, you know, you can play your first commander, then use Jeweled Lotus to play your second commander, your partner, to, like, finish the combo. Or you can, like, turn 3, use Jeweled Lotus to play your 3 CMC commander and hold 3 real mana to protect it. Like, you don't have to, like, do the crazy turn 1 goals, right? You can just be, like, turn 2 Najeela, holding protection, your go, right? Like, you can do all kinds of things with this card. Like, I think people are just severely underrating it somehow. Like, fast mana has been broken in every single format, right? I don't know why you would think it'd be not broken in Commander. Like, we don't print these in standard. Can you imagine if this was like standard playable somehow? Can you imagine if they put Dark Ritual in standard? Like,
Isn't that all of last year?
no, their Dark Ritual came at 5 CMC, right? Imagine if the Dark Ritual comes at 0, right?
But 5 CMC from 2019 forward is like 2.
But can you just imagine just powering out your stupid broken like 6 CMC commander that like 5-for-1s everyone at the table, right? Like, who cares that you went down a card? You just like got 5 cards back in value, right? So I just this card.
I think
so
the
broken.
argument was also like this was to like catch you up if your commander was like too expensive and stuff like that. That was another one of the things I read online, and I was just like, okay.
I mean, if we were casting Sierra Angels, this would be fine, but we're not, right? We're like cascading into like quadruple ramp or something, right? Like, so that just makes it even worse. All right, let's move on to the. I guess if Jeweled Lotus is the number 1 most talked about card, we'll move on to number 2, which would be Opposition Agent.
Yeah, yeah, dude, this is the card.
2 and a black, so 3 CMC. It's just a regular creature. It's a human rogue.
Yeah, it is.
It's a rare. It's a 3/2 flash. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. While an opponent is searching their library, you may exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast them.
See, this is the card. Now, this is the one that I can't stop talking about. This is the one. And yes, of course, it's a rogue, so obviously it has me excited. But this is just such a sweet card. I mean, I already don't play a ton of tutors, just because I find, like, you know, I'm on the camp of, I play a singleton format to try not to have a ridiculous amount of redundancy. And this will just reward me because I don't have to worry about getting got for this. I can potentially now ramp in my rogues deck because I could steal your fetch land.
You say that when you crack your fetch, someone's going to Opposition Agent you, and Grim will be sitting at 1 mana the entire game.
What fetch? What fetch? Maybe in paper, yes. But I think this card is so sweet. I think this is my chase card. This is what sells the packs for me. I think that the things that you can do with this card are hilarious. They're perfectly trolly enough. There's just enough feel bad here for me to get a smile out of it, but like not enough of a feel bad to where I think it's absurdly broken.
Yeah, I actually feel like this card's really overrated. Like, I think it's good, but this was a card where people, when it first was previewed, were like, it should be banned.
Oh, yeah,
like, it's going to destroy the format. And when I read this card, I see, like, Haven Mind Sensor, essentially. Like, I see a black Haven Mind Sensor with, like, a slight...
It is better than an Haven Mind Sensor.
You get the card,
though, right?
right?
Yeah,
you get the card. And so it's an Aven Mind Sensor where you like vampiric tutor off the back of it, right?
Well, I mean, I feel like that's looking at the best case scenario. I think most of the time it's going to be like a vampiric tutor where you get a land because you stop a fetch land or something. So, like, sure, in the dream scenario, your opponent, I don't know, casts the flashback tutor that grabs 2 cards, or like the Expel tutor, and you're like, whoa, I just tutored for your whole deck. I gotcha. But
wouldn't you just feel like this is already amazing if just like, I don't know, if they cast any tutor, like, I mean, demonic tutor, diabolic, either, if you get 1 card off this, any 1 card off your opponent's deck, isn't that sweet?
I mean, it's definitely a sweet card, but I think people are just like way more scared of this card than they should be. Like, I feel like it's a sweet card. I think it's actually like of a pretty fine power level. Like, you play it, you get to like steal one of your opponent's tutors, hopefully, or worst case, you get a random land from a fetch land or a rampant growth, and then after that, either just dies or no one tutors until the opposition agent goes away, which makes it like, I think it's a more fun version of Aven Mind Sensor, essentially. I don't see it as like this big scary thing. I think it is maybe a big scary thing in like Legacy. I am a little concerned about Legacy and Vintage, and if this card might be too good, because those formats, you have a lot of decks that are so dependent on fetch lands. This can just be game over if you can like ramp it out on turn 1 or turn 2. So I am a little concerned about those formats, but in Commander, I think it's like a fun, fine card. It's a 3/2. Like, if you were really scared of this, like, that sounds bad, but put a little more removal in your deck. Like, you should be able to deal with this. It's not like it has some crazy form of protection. So I actually feel like this is a pretty fun. It's powerful, but I think it's at like a decent power level for Commander.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think most people are super overrating it. I put it somewhere between a Mind Sensor and an Ocean Thief. Like, one person is going to get got, right? Someone's going to tutor. The opposition agent's going to come down. They're going to get got. And like probably 20% of the time, you actually get the card. Like, I guess you can get an instant, so you can play it immediately. But like, this thing will just die immediately, right? So you may not even get the card. So you're just kind of just Avid Mind Censoring them in that aspect. And then like, no one is going to tutor ever again until this thing is off the table, right? So now it's a stacks piece or something. So I don't know why people are so afraid of this card. Like, I'm more afraid of a Notion Thief, actually, right? Like, if you get like, someone casts a big X draw spell and you Notion Thief, it's like way better than this, I think. So yeah, I think it's a solid card. It's a very fun card, right? Like Krim said, like, you can just do all kinds of like weird nonsense with it. It's like a Gonti card, like something like that, rather than a format breaking or format defining card like Jewel Lotus. So I'm not sure why, but people seem to be pretty scared of this card. This card is actually pre-ordering for a lot.
I don't know if they're scared of it or if it's just one of those cards that generates tons and tons of sodium. I like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think people are scared. I mean,
is it though? It's just like getting your tutor countered spell. It's not even that bad, right? Like,
but it's the fact that you get to go tutor whatever, and then you get a card out of them.
Yeah, but you need to untap with this opposition agent and like.
Well, hold on. You don't need to untap with your mana.
Well,
to, like,
so it depends what
card.
you tutor up, right? So if you tutor up an instant, you can cast immediately. But if you tutored up something else, then you need to untap, or if you're trying to flash this in on turn 3, you actually have no mana, right? So it's pretty restrictive. It's not like you instantly get the cards like an Ocean Thief.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So
and it could just die with the tutor on the stack. Like, if you cast a demonic tutor and someone flashes this in, like, it can just get swords or path or doombladed or whatever to kill it before the tutor even happens.
Doesn't die to Doomblade. Good card.
Oh, all right. Terror then.
still doesn't die to Terror. Okay.
Oh wait, Reaver Demon.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we have Wheel of Misfortune.
This card is sweet.
2 in a red, Sorcery. It's a rare. Each player secretly chooses a number 0 or greater. Then all players reveal the numbers simultaneously and determine the highest and lowest numbers revealed this way. Wheel of Misfortune deals damage equal to the highest number each player chose. And then each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand and draws 7.
This card is going to kill me very often, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this card's definitely, it's sweet. And I'm glad that they're trying to fix the Wheel of Fortune problem. It's definitely not Wheel of Fortune, though. It's another, I think, out of all the, like, not quite Wheel of Fortunes. This one might be the closest to actual Wheel of Fortune, which I like. So it is kind of a budget substitute, I think, more so than the other ones. Although at the same time, it also makes me a little sad because when I see it, I'm like, why can't you just get rid of the stupid reserve list and print actual Wheel of Fortune wizards? So I think I'll play it, but it still makes me a little sad. And I still hope they can somehow fix the reserve list issues with some of these commander staples.
I mean, reserve lists or not, I mean, like, obviously I despise the reserve lists, but, like, I would still play Wheel of Misfortune and Wheel of Fortune if the reserve list wasn't here. Because I think Wheel of Fortune is just such a fun card. Design-wise, this is just a sweet, sweet card, right? Of course, like Seth will name 49 for some odd reason, while everyone's at, like, we'll say 7.
Gotta make sure you draw those cards.
To me, this is a chaos card or something rather than a Wheel of Fortune, right? So the idea here is you're trying to get the middle number, right? Because if you choose the biggest number,
Seth.
you get domed and kill yourself. If you choose the smallest number, you don't get to wheel. So everyone's trying to get the middle number. And then you're like, is 10 enough? Right? What if I choose 20? What if I choose 30? It's like a little Price is Right game or something going on here. And I feel that game is too complicated for you to just want to draw cards, right? So I feel if you're going to do this, like you have a circle of protection or something going on, or I don't know, right? Like it seems a little dangerous just to put in your random deck to wheel. So to me, it's like a chaos card or something, right? Like I don't know what number to choose. What number would you choose? If we were to play right now, everyone have a number in their mind. Let's see what happens.
I mean, I think it's like
39, dude.
It's so dependent on your life total, though. So
let's say we're all at 40. Let's say we're all at 40 right now. All right, Seth, what's your number? I have a number already.
So for the memes, I would say 39, but honestly, it'd probably be like, I'd probably go like, 20, 20, I think.
Krim would say 39. I would say 10.
No, I did not. I would not say 39. My number.
What would you say?
My number was 15.
Oh, I still lose. You guys are. We're totally just gonna turn one, kill ourselves in the next Commander Clash when we play this. Where we're like, wow, I see. Krim is gonna choose 15. Seth's gonna choose 20. I better choose 40.
You really though, because 3 people get to draw though, so you really just want to not be the last person.
Right.
You want to not be the first or the last person.
Well, but being the first person, you at least get to draw cards, right? Like, as in, if you have the highest, you still get to draw.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if you get the highest, you still draw cards. You just get
burned.
Totally wrecked.
Yes, you want to also take
middle.
20 damage.
Yes.
Yeah, the middle is the place to be. So I feel like, though, in an actual game of Commander, I feel like it's going to be easier than it looks. Because imagine a situation where instead of everyone being at 40 and you cast this on turn 3, it's like turn 8 and someone's at like 15. Then it's pretty easy to hit the middle. You got to assume that person cannot afford to bid very much. So I feel like
they could just take the gamble and choose.
Well, even if they go 14, like you can go 15 or whatever. So I feel like it'll be easier to actually play with in an actual game when people are at various life totals and the game has like some sort of context to it. So I feel like it'll be easier and less painful than it looks.
All right, editor, take this clip. I want to see Seth like take 50 to the face from this card in the next Commander Clash
Seth
and just
will
die
take more
instantly.
than 15, Richard. Seth's actually downplaying the number you would say right now.
Then you just switch life totals with someone else. It's actually a combo piece. It's a way to lose 39 life all at once and then get someone like Death Shadow someone or whatever.
Repay in kind.
Yes.
All right. Speaking of Seth, we have the SaffronOlive Invitational card. Now, I'm reaching out to the Goldfish legal team, the contact Wizards here, because I don't believe they got it right. we need a cut of the royalties from the sales of the set. We have Hans Eriksson, a legendary creature, human scout, 2 red and a green. The art is literally Seth. If you haven't seen the card, take a look at the card. It is Seth. What happened? I don't know. Seth won some tournament somewhere and made an invitational card.
Does that
Yeah,
mean
I don't know how it
Sappy?
happened either, but
Sappy Olive.
Oh, SaffronOlive. Yeah, that is. So it's a 1/4. When SaffronOlive attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. defending player or a planeswalker they control. Otherwise, put that card in your hand. When you put a creature card onto the battlefield this way, it fights Hans Eriksson.
Apart
so
from
not a very Seth card itself. It requires combat.
Yeah, apart from looking like me, it's not really my play style, although I do think it's actually a really sweet card. I think, yes, it does tend to kill itself if you don't build around it, but it's actually really easy to build around, where you can make it so this can be dumping something into play every single turn, and it's not even until end of turn, it stays on the battlefield. So there's like bubble matrices and vigors and dark steel plates to get around the fight mechanic, and then if you throw in like Scroll Rack being reprinted and hopefully a little bit cheaper, or like Crib's favorite, Sensei's Divining Top, or like a Worldly Tutor, like, you can actually turn this into a really powerful commander. So I think this is actually a lot more powerful than it looks. You read the fight ability and you're like, oh, like, it's just going to die. But I think you can actually build around that pretty easily.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons of things you can do, right? To, like, give your commander indestructible, like you had mentioned, protection from colors. So definitely a lot.
Yeah, protection from creatures would work, too.
Ooh, yeah.
Totem armors.
All right. Now, this is the real chase uncommon of the set. What I've been waiting for, Rogak, Son of Roga. 0 CMC. It's a 0/1 legendary creature, Kobold Warrior. First strike, menace, trample. Partner.
Goes with Jeweled Lotus.
Strength is relative. Yes. I can mana burn myself.
You can thud. You can on turn 1 play it again.
Ooh. I actually think this is like actually a really sweet card. It has so many keywords and it's a 0/1, which is like beautiful. So you have to build around it. It's partner, so you get a second one, and it enables Kobold Tribal.
Yeah, I love this card too. This card's super sweet. I mostly want to build like the Hammer Time deck with it. There's like a partner that when it comes into at the beginning of combat, I'm trying to find it. It's one of the white uncommon ones. Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. Beginning your combat, you get to equip any numbers of aura or equipment to target permanent or player. So I imagine you play this and like Colossus Havers and like Argentum Armors and just try to like jank people out by turning this into like a 2-shot kill, zero mana, 0 power commander really early in the game. So I actually think it's sweet. And I mean, Kobold Tribal, there's only one other legendary Kobold, and oh my god, that card is so bad. It's the one you gotta like pay 3 mana or you donate it and like to your opponents every turn. I think it's the father of this one. But yeah, so it's sweet to actually have like a playable legendary Kobold.
It's a warrior, so it works with all of the warrior equipment from our last set. So the one, what is that limited all-star where you can equip a warrior and then if it has haste.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it gets haste, right?
Yeah.
So you could do things like that. We have Blackblade Reforged, right? We have all kinds of cool equipment we can slap on to the Son of Roga. Now, I'm curious, does Roga have a card? I'm going to guess no, because there's like Roga, 4 Kobold cards.
Yeah, that's the horrible legendary. Yeah, the one other legendary.
I'm so sad because my old Kobold deck was a Paradox Engine deck where you combo off with your kobolds, but that's banned now. So we're gonna have to build
kobolds
the tribal deck from ground up.
I mean, it does kind of combo with Skull Clamp too. That might be the best use of it.
No, don't you dare! You like Skull Clamp and then you Lotus
yes,
to recast the Skull Clamp some more, and you're like, this card doesn't seem broken. Why is it $130? I don't understand. All right, next up we have Obeka, Brute Chronologist.
Yes, this is the other card I'm most excited for from this
1
set.
blue, black, red. So 4 CMC, Grixis colors. Krim likes it. Wow, shocking. Legendary creature, Ogre Wizard. It's a 3/4. Tap it. The player whose turn it is may end the turn.
All right. So you remember how you constantly wanted to skip skip your turn or whatever.
Oh, are we teaming up?
Yeah. See, now you're gonna have a table where you're gonna skip your turns and somebody else is gonna skip their turn, and for some odd reason, there's just this weird, fast-paced cycle of turns. And I cannot wait to play with this card and like other like time stop abilities and stuff like that. And just having like a Sundial of the Infinite on a stick here is really fun. Lots of things you can do with this. So I planned on making a deck that's going to play like Act of Treasons, Slave of Bolus, all this other stuff. And it's just going to be all about abusing that ending your own turn stuff. Obviously, I would love for it to tap and just end anyone's turn, but that would be too broken. So...
Yeah, I think this card is super sweet too. This is one of my favorites in the set. I want to go with the like lose the game tribal. Like you can play all the like final fortunes and have all these like 2-mana extra turn spells.
Glorious End,
demonic pact.
Very risky.
Oh yeah,
anything happens to Obeka.
Yes. I mean, it's a high risk, low reward, I guess, strategy, but it does sound flavorful.
Like is there any practical purpose for you to end another player's turn? Because they have to agree to it, right?
You can
So if someone like does an instant speed spell, like say Settle the Wreckage or something that you don't agree with, we could end the turn.
You don't agree with? I love that.
I think.
Well, you could save someone, right?
Yeah, like a fog. That's what I imagine it will be most commonly used as. Like someone alpha strikes someone else, and you're just like, oh, would you like me to end your turn and fizzle all that damage? So I think like
wait, that doesn't work. Because the attacking player is not going to end their turn.
Oh,
right. It has to be like
right.
you attack and then they have like a combat trick or something, right? So the defending player has a combat trick, so then the attacking player is like, no, end the turn. I take it back, right? Or someone like end of turn Cyclonic Rifts for some reason. While it's on the battlefield, you can just be like, sorry, end the turn.
That's the big thing for me. I plan on using this as a defensive thing too, where like if somebody's waiting, like there's a flash deck or those darn blue decks, and how they're waiting to do anything at the end of your turn. Well, if now you get to like say the ball's in your court, would you like to do anything? Too bad, I'll end my turn.
So when Crypt mana drains, you can be like, hey, instead of having your 20 CMC spell countered, would you like to end your turn?
Yep. Like that's mostly how I see this. I see this as a way to like respond to the flash decks and the instant speed decks, while also being able to play lose the game tribal and all this other stuff.
All right, next up, we have a very old character. We've seen his disc many times on Commander Clash. We have Navinral Orberg Tyrant, 3 white, blue, black, so 6 CMC. Esper colors, legendary creature zombie wizard, 3/6, hexproof from artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. When Navinral enters the battlefield, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token for each creature that died this turn. When Navinral dies, you may pay 1. When you do, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments.
Dude, how sweet is this card? And also, I love that it has hexproof from artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. All the things that disc blows up, right?
I mean, he still gets blown up by a disc.
but it's
they're really going hardcore. They're like, no, man, Navinral can never touch planeswalkers, even in the new version.
But then, like people would play like whatever enchantment, let's just say like Turn to Frog or Frogify or something, right? But no, you don't get to do that to Navinral Orberg Tyrant. And I think this card is such a fun card, and you only have to pay 1 when it dies. Granted that it is a very expensive commander, but it is sweet.
Yeah, I like this card a lot too. I don't think that like hexproof part is actually very relevant. It must be like a flavor thing. I don't really understand like what that does other than add flavor to the card. But the thing I like about the card is it's a really sweet like zombie aristocrat commander, and zombies actually have a lot of support for like the sacrifice build. You have like the old Innistrad blue black lord Diregraph something that has like a Blood Artist ability built in. There's Plague Belcher that has a Blood Artist ability. There's Undead Augur that has a card draw when anything dies ability. So it's perfect for like a Esper Aristocrat zombie deck, and you can even go infinite with it with like Gravecrawler, Phyrexian Altar. You just sacrifice Gravecrawler a million times and then cast this for infinite zombie tokens, so there's shenanigans there, and it combos with itself. If you got enough mana, you just like play this and sacrifice it to something, blow everything up, then recast this and make a bunch of zombies. The only thing I don't like is it might be a little Child of Alarian, where this is going to lead to long games where everyone's stuff just keeps getting repeatedly blown up. So I expect it's going to take a long time for games to end when this commander shows up.
I mean, I'm definitely going to try to I guess, beef this up with like a dark steel plate or something like that. So it'll never die. But I guess like if I get there's just like something that about this card, and I think it's the flavor of it that I just really enjoy. But yeah, like you had mentioned, the aristocrat side of it is such a cool thing. Zombies haven't had that, and zombies do feel like the perfect aristocrat tribe. We've always had those really pesky 0/1 human cards, but now you can do like you had mentioned all of that, and there's the sweet white zombies from Amonkhet that we never got to play with in Commander, because usually when you go zombie deck, it's like blue-black. So I'm excited.
I don't know why everyone's hyped about this card, but it's cool. It's so expensive.
It's mostly flavorful. That's why.
Yeah, it's flavorful. Like if you can turn 4 disc into turn 5 Lotus Navinral Orberg tyrant, then you can get somewhere with it, right? But then when it dies, it just blows up all your creatures again. I don't know what you do with this. It seems a bit slow for like a Child Alara type deck, right?
I don't know how many times you can have this die, to be completely honest.
Like you need 7 mana for the first one, right? Because you need to cast it for 6, and you have to hold up a mana in case it dies. And then the next time is 9. I'm like, I don't know how you get to cast this multiple times. But it is cool to disc into the tyrant himself.
Did you see his necklace, by the way?
Is the necklace the disc?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, what is this? Is it a frisbee? Like,
it's a donut.
Disc?
It's just a donut.
It's like that's my music. What are you talking about? All right. Next up, we have our Kalos Lagoon Mystic. 1 black, green, blue. So Sultai, 4 CMC. It's a 2/4. It's a turtle shaman legendary creature. As long as our Kalos is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. As long as our Kalos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped.
Oh man, I love this. I really love this card. This card is really sweet. When I first read it, I was like, okay, this is just like, it's a turtle legend. That's cool. You can build turtle tribal. But I actually think that second ability, where as long as it's untapped, other permanents come into play untapped, is really powerful, because that overrides things that would normally come into play tap. So you can like Scapeshift, for example, and use this like an Amulet of Vigor, or even just play your like bad budget lands, like the gain lands, and have them turn into real dual lands because they're going to come into play untapped. So I think there's some really sweet shenanigans by playing stuff that's supposed to come into play untapped, or supposed to come into play tapped, untapped with this. Even oh man, what's the artifact where you can pay 2 of each color and you just you win the game, but it comes into play tapped?
Door to Nothingness?
Door to Nothingness. Yeah, this would be like perfect for Door to Nothingness, having that come into play untapped. So yeah, I think this card's actually way more powerful than it looks. I don't know if it's great as a commander, but I'm really excited to play this in the 99 of a bunch of decks.
Amulet of Vigor is a powerful card, and whatnot. I think this card is obviously powerful, but I am I am very skeptical of anything that seems to pair well with lands.
I think
mostly from a fun perspective.
Too powerful, right?
Yeah.
Like, so if you have this thing tapped, everything enters tapped. Like your opponents, your things, their creatures, their artifacts, their lands, their basic lands, literally everything. Yes, planeswalkers included. So if you have a way to just keep this tapped, like attacking, right, then it's like over, right? Like everything just enters tapped forever. It's like the ultimate lockdown card. Oh, I'm a moron. Sorry. No, I read this card wrong. Ignore. Editor, undo everything. Undo everything. I got excited. I was like, is this the ultimate stasis? I'm like, no, this does absolutely nothing. It's a Thalia. Okay, never mind.
But it's still definitely a cool card, and there are shenanigans for untapping it where you can use or tapping it rather, where you can use like vehicles and other effects like that to get around having to actually like attack with it, because it is only a 2/4, so it's going to be kind of challenging to attack with. But I still think it's a pretty fun card. And Turtle Tribal, like who wouldn't want to build Turtle Tribal?
It's time to build Ninja Turtles again. This is like very giving me the vibes here.
That untapped part, entering everything untapped, is like that's the part that scares me the most. So
what happens if you have two cards that, like, let's say you have a Thalia, like at the new Thalia, and then this thing, like, what happens?
They go untapped because you see the two tapped notions.
Someone explain layers to me and timestamps.
I'm kidding.
I'm pretty sure whatever came into play last wins. So
is that how it works? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's the simple explanation. Yeah.
All right. Next card, we have Apex Devastator, 8 green creature, Chimera Hydra. It's a mythic, a 10/10. Cascade.
This is a very Timmy card, right? It is funny. I think this card is hilarious, and it's going to lead to some fun games when you cast it, or when it resolves. It has to resolve, right? It's not on cast.
No.
Cascade is cast, yeah.
Cascade. Yeah, no matter what, it's always on cast. Yeah, sure. So yeah, like this is such a fun card though, regardless. As I said, it'll lead to some seriously fun games. Just doing it 5 times is so sweet.
I mean, it's obviously super powerful, but it's also 10 mana, so in Commander, like, once you get to 10 mana, you got Ulamogs and stuff, so I'm pretty fine with my 10 mana cards being really strong, and this one is really strong, but it's strong in, like, a fun, random way, where you could hit a bunch of, like, mana dorks or something and be really sad, or you could end up getting, like, a ridiculous amount of power, so I don't know, I don't think there's any, like, building around it. I think you just, like, ramp into it and cast it and hope something sweet happens.
I'm a little sad that there's no trample.
It
just gets shuffled.
You need to cascade into something that gives it trample.
Okay.
I'm
So you
pretty
do
sure you
have
can
to build
cascade
around
into
it.
like an instant victory, right? Like, what's that guy? The guy that like ferocious and then gives something haste.
Oh,
Surak.
Surak, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can cascade into like some game-winning plays here, but I mean, this is not that hard, right? You like turn 5 Nissa, turn 6 Apex Devastator.
Yeah.
So
It's there.
I'm ready for this. This is like the Timmiest of Timmy cards, and I love that this is what they use their mythic slots on. Like if the set was all this and no Jewel Lotus, it would be amazing. It's just like these weird cards that you're like, what? But it's probably bad, but it makes you feel so good to play it.
It's not bad. It's fun. That's the difference. It's fun.
It's a 10/10.
Yeah, and it cascades 4 times. And if you have like all the cascade enabling stuff in Commander like that have come out in this set, oh.
I kind of wish this was a Godzilla card. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I agree. I can see that.
Are we still hating on third-party IP? But this, like, if Godzilla, like, some of the monsters from Godzilla had like these cool abilities,
This could
rather
have been
than
Ghidorah.
being like 5 mana 4/4s or something. Like, look, it's a 10 mana 10/10. What do you want? It's Godzilla.
This seriously could have been Ghidorah.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have Blim, Comedic Genius. Not to be confused with Crim, Comedic Genius. 2 black and a red, 4/3 legendary creature, Imp, flying. When Blim enters, or when Blim deals combat damage to a player, that player gains control of target permanent you control. Then each player loses life and discards cards equal to the number of permanents they control but don't own.
This card is so sweet. It's such a fun, like a seriously just fun Commander card. There's so many of those in this set. This is another one of them, and I just can't get over it. It's just such a fun card.
Yeah, it's like evil Zedru is how I think of this card, and
Is Zedru always evil?
Well, I mean, Zedru, you're kind of being nice, sort of. Like, you're not hurting your opponent with Zedru. You're drawing cards and gaining life. Instead, this is actually, like, making your opponent discard cards and lose life. And it's got good color. Like, this is a great commander for, like, giving your opponent demonic packs and harmful things like that to potentially kill them. This is a card, like, Is it strong? Probably not. Like, I don't think this is busted or anything from a competitive perspective, but it's got to be one of the most fun legends to build around from the set. And I think that's, like, where, in general, Commander Legends nailed it. There's, like, I don't even know, 15, 20, 30 legends that as soon as I saw them, I was like, wow, I got to build a deck around this. Is the deck going to be good? I don't know if it'll be good, but it's going to be fun, and I really want to try to build it. So I feel like Wizards really kind of nailed it in general with this set, way more than I expected, discounting the little, Lotus issue. But outside of that, like, Blim is a great example of how they just made so many interesting build-arounds that aren't overpowered.
Agreed. This is going to be a blast. I cannot wait to play this, especially for whatever holiday episode of Commander Clash we have. I'm definitely going to build around this.
I don't want to be Crim's holiday buddy.
Yes.
Merry Christmas. Leave some life. Discard some cards.
Happy holidays.
Is this the imp thing? Like what do imps do in Magic? Is this their thing?
They don't. Well, not really. Most of the imps I see are just small little. No, actually, no. Those are devils.
No, so devils ping when they die.
Yeah.
Devils are also like chaosy. Maybe imp is like donating.
Kind of chaosy, right? I mean, they also don't die to Rakdos Showstopper, so like those are things I can tell you about imps.
All right, next up we have Arami of the Dead Tide. This is actually the Goldfish preview card. 1 blue and a black legendary creature, Merfolk Wizard, uncommon. It's a 1/4. Exile cards from your graveyard equal to the number of opponents you have. Target creature in your graveyard gains Encore until end of turn. The Encore cost is equal to its mana cost. And if you forgot what Encore was, for each opponent, create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn. If able, they gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step.
I think that's really cool that there's a blue-black Merfolk. By the way,
have you forgot about Sig, River Cutthroat? Come on.
I mean, yeah, but that's it, right? Like, you only have Sig. And like,
I feel like this is a really fun build around. Like, for a graveyard / reanimate style deck, I think Encore is a lot more powerful than maybe it looks at first glance, since you're getting 3 copies of something when you Encore it. So I imagine, like, picture like Runescar Demon or Garuda or Scholar of the Lost Trove or any of the Primordials. Like, getting 3 copies of those and getting their enter the battlefield trigger 3 times, that's absurd. That's like a ridiculous amount of value. So I think it's actually really fun to build around. I also think you can play it in graveyard decks if you're playing like some other Sidris, maybe Sidisi, decks like that care about like getting stuff in their graveyard. I think it's also worth considering for the 99 there as well. So I think in the right shell it can actually be pretty powerful.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like, a lot with how like blue-black self mill cards work and whatnot. You can seriously play with that. I mean, like, it pairs right into Dimir quite well.
Like, this card I think is insanely powerful, and I'm really curious why it's an uncommon. Like, of the things you can do, like, if you say Encore a Gary, a Grey Merchant, that's like 21 damage drained across the table, like, immediately. If you bring back a Wormcoil Engine, that's like 1 billion tokens. If you Massacre Worm for some reason, like, that is a lot of damage, right? Like, just getting 3 copies of any creature, right? And your creatures will be really good because it's like a Reanimator deck, is really strong. So I'm a little confused as to why this is an uncommon. I think this is actually a really strong card, and in the right shell will just do a ton of work. It's like a must kill on the spot. Otherwise, someone's getting like 3x Runescar Demon or something like that, right? Like,
well, I mean, you still got to spend the mana, right?
Well, you only have to cast it once, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a late game card. I think it's really powerful in the late game, but you do need to have a pretty full graveyard. You need to have good things in the graveyard, and you need to have enough mana to encore the thing from the graveyard. So it's not like, oh, I play this on turn 3 and win. It's more like, oh, I play this on like turn 8 after I self-milled a bunch, and then it's going to generate a ridiculous amount of value, as Richard said. Like, then it's absolutely insane. But I think like the slowness of it probably means it's it's safe. Like, it's really powerful, but it's a powerful late game engine rather than a commander that's just going to, like, take over quickly in early
What if
game.
I accelerate it by 3 turns with the Jeweled Lotus? Does that make it any better?
No,
No, not really.
you're still in the same
Well, what if I
spot.
accelerate it by like 5 turns or 7 turns by Jeweled Lotus and Dark Rituals and Soul Rings?
Then you've
better?
handpicked your 7 cards, and I guess if that's the best you could do.
Is that the best you could do? Generate 7 mana on turn 1? Come on.
If you could pick your 7 cards and all you did was generate 7 mana and drop this.
But you're like, "All right, I forgot to actually Buried Alive in here, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pass the turn." All right. Next up, we have Wrong Turn. 2 in the blue. It's an instant. Target opponent gains control of target creature. If an attacking or blocking creature changes controller, it's removed from combat.
How is this not an amazing card at instant speed? This card is super sweet. You can actually save somebody with this. You can, really politic your way around, get rid of, like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like outside of the creature having hexproof, there's just a lot of fun you could do with this. More chaos stuff, more ways to be annoying in blue, right? Like giving somebody's commander away, like, is hilarious here.
It definitely does feel annoying. I will definitely give it that. It seems annoying. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure this card's, like, good, but it seems like a really fun card to cast. Like, it does have that chaos aspect. I guess you kind of think of it as, like, kind of a removal spell. It's a weird card to actually evaluate for me because you can actually gain control of the creature yourself, so you are kind of left trying to, like, get political favors out of it, or, like, really weird roundabout removal where you can, like, give someone a big blocker to kill something that's attacking. So I feel like this might be one of those cards that's, like, more funny than it is actually, like, strong, but it does seem like, will you put this in all your blue decks, Grim?
Yes,
Like, do you like it to that
100%.
extent where you're just like,
Okay, Grim will put troll cards in his deck, but I would put it in every deck because it's actually a good card, right? Because yes, it's conditional, but the condition isn't that restrictive, right? Like, it allows you to play politics. It allows you to basically remove, like, if someone attacks and you want to remove that attacking creature, you can give someone a blocker or something that will take care of it, and then will take care of it for you, right? So there are ways to, like, mess around with the board in a way that's favorable to you. Or if you need to kill someone, right, you could donate, the next person's who's getting a combat step a creature, and then it can kill the person remaining. So there's all kinds of political moves you can pull with this.
Yep.
So I actually think this is just a straight up good card, in addition to being like a troll card, rather than just being like a troll card.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You can use this to manipulate the board how you want it to be. So in that sense, I think it's actually an auto include in, like, all blue decks if you're going to play some removal.
And like, seriously, think about that. Giving away a commander is very annoying. like sometimes people's decks really need their commander, and if you just give that away, it's like, nah, dude. You just, like, nullified my deck, and now I have to find a way to spend my own card to remove my own
you got to
commander.
remove it just to recast it.
Yeah,
So I like it.
yeah. I
Okay, I think that's all the previews we want to get to today. We have, like, a ton. We still have a backlog of all these cards we want to talk about. So maybe we'll talk about them in the future. But for now, you can check out all the latest previews on mpgpreviews.com. And then if you check the YouTube channel, the Commander YouTube channel, our streams, we talk about all the cards there too. So tons and tons of new things to talk about. And of course, we'll be playing these cards on Commander Clash when they come out. So we'll get to see the cards in action. And I'm going to see Seth kill himself with Wheel of Misfortune.
oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
100% guaranteed. Someone put up a straw poll right now. Like, what is the highest amount someone will ever choose for this card? And will it be Saffron-Olive?
Yep, I tell you now it will. I'm not going to deny it.
I'm telling you, Seth's downplaying how much he'll pay on podcast right now.
All right, let's move on to fish mail. If you have questions, you can send them to @MTGGoldfish on Twitter with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your question on air. Don't mind me as I pull up the fish mail. It's happening right now. I am now trying to read. Okay, Saw speaks. Sorry if you haven't asked this already, but what token represents each of you best? Token.
I would say a fairy rogue token. But specifically the Laurelwyn ones. Because those ones are the ones where they have that menacing smile where they've just done something wrong. Like untied your shoes and didn't tell you. And then are flying away.
Oh, we've had some good... let's see, the Kithkin token? Maybe a goat token. I think I'll go for the goat token. The 0/1.
The seductive goat.
The seductive goat. You guys know what I'm talking about. I think a 0 goat, a non-menacing goat that will end the game somehow.
I have never thought about this before. I actually don't know what token I would be. Do you guys have any ideas? Like, I'm trying to think. Like a Stang token? Maybe Stang, the Stang twin.
You could also be but now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I guess like the fairy rogue is like very me, but I also want to be the little monkey from Karuzev.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
Rengavan.
I could see that.
We know what Tomer would be. Tomer would be the Cauldron token.
The avatar?
That doesn't even exist.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't even exist. It's like not even a thing.
I would be a Panharmonicon token because I had copied it with something that makes a token copy.
You're a copy of Blood Moon.
Yes.
Somehow there's a Blood Moon token on the battlefield. Throne of Waste. Will there ever be a way to make a commander that references flavor text outside of an unset? It would be fun to brew a deck looking back through all the flavor text like Teferi that has draw a card for each card played referencing Teferi or something. Some kind of rules text referencing flavor text.
I would be very surprised if we actually got a flavor text card in Black Border. I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's very unlikely.
I agree. I think there's other ways to accomplish what that's trying to do, and I think they just wanted to have the creative freedom with flavor text, right? But we have cards that reference names of cards. We have cards that reference like the type line and things like that. So I think they're happy with that. Last question. Funk Fu 749. With more than a year of play, how do you feel about the London Mulligan now?
Oh, I still like it. I've been able to, I mean, mostly because I play Standard. And even then, I do see that, yes, London Mulligan did affect Standard when it had the Simic Food era of, like, consistency. But, like, I do like having the ability to, just kind of, like, pick the card I don't want and then shuffle it away.
Personally, I still think it was a negative, in my opinion, for constructed formats. I think it just makes games feel too samey, and everyone seems to always have their, like, ideal draw. So I still don't like it for constructed. I think it was great for limited. But at the same time, I've kind of given up hope on it ever changing. I feel like if it hasn't changed by now, it's not going to. So I guess I've just, in some sense, given up on fighting that battle because I don't think there's any changing it at this point, even though I still think, for me personally, I think it makes Magic somewhat less fun.
Wait, so what was the Vancouver Mulligan? What was our Mulligan before this? I have forgotten. Was it just a straight up Mulligan and be done with it?
You get to scry if you Mulligan. So if you Mulligan, you get to scry one.
No, before this.
Wait, before the Vancouver Mulligan?
Before this was the Scry Mulligan.
Wait, what is our Mulligan now?
You draw your cards and get to choose what cards you want to put back.
Oh, okay. I confused myself. So
yeah. I like the London Mulligan. Yeah, no, I like the London Mulligan, but I'm not as big of a fan of the current Mulligan.
Wait.
Yeah, it's hard to say because the fire design stuff and like really Standard being a hot mess like kind of convolutes it all. Like I don't. I will say limited feels a lot better now. I do like when you mulligan nowadays, it's not an auto loss. Like even with the Scry mulligan, when you mulled to 5, the game was over. Like you needed like a 1% miracle chance to actually win. Nowadays, I feel it's okay, and also because your cards just generate so much value, you can like dig yourself out of that hole if you have the right cards. So in that sense, I think the games are better because do you remember keeping like sketch hands on like 6 and stuff because going to 5 is just an auto loss.
Yep. Now you can win on 5.
Now you can win on 5 at like a reasonable number of times, right? It's not like you need the Hail Mary. Like you're like, oh, I can actually go to the right 5 and have a good game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like my issue is I feel like it goes too far in that direction. Like, if it was just like, oh, my hand's not good, so I'm mulliganing, and oh, good, because of this mulligan rule, I have a functional hand, I would mostly be okay with it. The part that I don't like is, as we saw a ton in Standard a few months ago, it's kind of used with like, oh, my hand's really good, but it's not my nut draw. And since this mulligan rule is so strong, I'm going to mulligan this, really good 7 because I think I can get even more nut drawy 6. And I feel like that's the unintended consequence of the mulligan rule. If there was a way to like restrict it so people could only use it when their hand was actually bad, I think I'd be fine with it. My issue with it is people throwing away hands that before you would be perfectly happy with because you think you can get something better taking advantage of the mulligan rule.
Oh, do you remember like the old mulligan rule where it's like if you have 0 lands or all lands, you can mulligan and that's it? Like,
that might be a little too restrictive. Yeah, that might be a little too far. Yeah,
that's too much. I mean, I think I see all the points, but I feel playing more games of Magic is better than not playing more games of Magic. So, and then also if you play best of one, like Arena also like messes with your hand to just give you more functional hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel just having more functional hands is better. And if the price is like some decks are too consistent, I think that can be solved with just like better card design. Like just stop making like Once Upon a Time and things like that, and then it'll be fine.
Better card design.
Yeah,
that's asking a lot, design. Richard. That's asking a lot of Wizards
better card
days.
Design. Yeah,
Just
but yeah, I mean it's
cards.
pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting topic, and we just unfortunately don't know because there's just been so many changes, right? There's just been so many like powerful cards, so many bans, even like all our old formats, they just like fundamentally changed with the new card printings, so we can't really tell. But I do suspect the new mulligan rule does have something to do with it. Okay, that's all the time we have for Fish Mail this week. Thank you to everyone who sent them in. If you have questions, send them to @MTGGoldfish with the hashtag MTGFishmail, and we'll get to your questions on air.
And on that note, I believe that brings us to the end of episode 301 of the MTG Goldfish podcast. So, Richard Grimm, thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Card Conduit for supporting the show. And we will be back next week to talk about, probably more Commander Legends spoilers and whatever else goes on in the world of Magic. So, until then, have a wonderful week, everyone. And this is the crew signing out.